To quote, give a Nazi a proper bullocking.
I lived, I died, and now I sleep. And in my sleep I dream. And in my dreams I see an end to the doom that will grip the earth once again. Find the wolf-kissed. Find the mad one. Find me. And save us all from another death.
Okay.
Layla, thought you might be interested in this. Conversations that Bex and I had with Desmond back in 2012. December, I think. Just candid talks, that's all. We didn't square any circles or write any beat poetry. But he did have some interesting insights into his time in the Animus and what it means to be an assassin. Anyway, have a listen. You might find you and he had similar experiences. So, well, let me know what you think. Unless it's to tell me I sound like a total brat in these recordings. If that's the case, just say nothing. I mean, I did have a slight cold at the time I recorded these. That's probably why I sound odd. Anyway, okay, I'm done anyway. So, turn off. Turn off. Oh, it's actually just a button. Sorry, here we go.
No, come on, Sean. Turn that thing off.
Oh, hold on. I like what you said there. I want to get this for posterity. Say it again, nice and loud.
Seriously?
Sure, come on. If nothing else, it'll give me leverage with your old man.
Ah, that's your angle. Nice. What I said was, I wish I hadn't been born into the Assassins. I wish I had chosen this life. Is that good enough?
Sure, but why is that?
Because choice is the central idea of our creed. It underpins everything, right? It's about free will. It's about seeing the evidence before you and saying, yes, this is what I want. Or, no, this isn't for me. But when you're born into a group like this, or any other, like I was, you get mixed signals. You get told over and over again, this is what we believe. These are the rules. This is reality. No deviation. And if you question it, oh, they look at you like you killed a puppy. That's hardly free will. It's a weird irony when free will is your central belief, but nobody wants you to believe otherwise. I don't know how to say it exactly, but I always thought there was something self-destructive about our creed. If free will is the most important moral guidepost we have, we should be free to ignore it. To choose submission, for example. You know what I mean? Like, we should be free to side with the Templars. If it's really my choice, I could do that.
Right. It's almost self-refuting. A democracy could democratically elect a dictator or choose to get rid of democracy altogether. Within our creed is the seed of its own destruction. That's what makes it powerful, I think. And fragile.
Right. The more freedom you have, the more risky it is, you know? Anyway, my dad has mellowed over the years, but he was strict when we lived on the farm. He ran a tight ship. I never got the impression that I was free to choose my path forward. Our creed, our tenets, they were drilled into my head. By the time I was a teenager, I was following these rules out of a sense of duty. This was just what we did.
That happens to a lot of organizations over time. The stagnation sets in, you know? A fundamentalism.
Yeah. Following the rules becomes more important than achieving whatever goal you set out for yourself. And people start to lose sight of the reason the rules exist.
That's called deontology, or a form of it. Following a rule for its own sake and not for the consequences it has.
Yeah, but that feels backwards, doesn't it?
Well, I think so. Following a rule is the easy part. Praying, taking a sip of wine, munching on a wafer. Rituals that give comfort.
But that's just going through the motions. It makes people feel like they're doing something. When the hard work is, well, actually getting off your ass and doing something productive. I think people just want boundaries. Tight boundaries. They want to see the four walls that pen them in.
I don't disagree.
Anything outside that, anything that makes life more complex, that's scary. That's why I envy you. chose this life. You went through that process, and you decided, yes, I believe in this.
Sure. It didn't stop me from being an insufferable know-it-all as a teenager, but I see your point.
I would have loved to have been a know-it-all. I knew nothing. Not until you guys found me. Yeah. It wasn't until I met you, and Bex, and Lucy, that I knew. I knew I wanted to be an assassin.
Oh, thanks, Des. Come here. Bring it in, bud. I don't normally like touching, but we'll make an exception now.
I am not hugging you.
Sure. It's not very nice today.
Let me just turn that off.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll just set this here.
Do you guys record everything we talk about?
Not everything, but you've been using the Animus so much, I thought this was a good chance to learn some things about prolonged exposure.
So I'm your guinea pig.
No, my guinea pigs are all dead. The Animus was too much for them to handle.
Cute.
Can I ask you about the bleeding effect? Any recent flashes? Any memories resurfacing?
Yeah, the usual things. Ghost images of Altair and Ezio a few times a day. Nothing intrusive, just brief moments. They pass quickly, almost without me noticing. Like a figure in the corner of my eye, or remembering a dream from the night before. I did have one extended hallucination a few days ago. It was Ezio. He was older, around the time he left Cappadocia. He was standing on the deck of a ship, alone. And through him, I could feel an intense regret or guilt. And it felt to me like he'd had a loss of faith in himself, in the creed, like he couldn't keep it up, couldn't stay true to his ideals. And as I watched him, I thought, is this the moment he decided he was done being an assassin? It felt like it. Anyway, most of my visions have been brief, lasting just a few seconds. They're like complete memories of small moments that appear suddenly out of nowhere, fully formed. It's a strange feeling.
Okay, anything else?
I'm starting to see Connor now, too. Though I hear his voice more often than I see him. I'm sure that will change. Oh, yeah, and yesterday, just before bed, I had a memory of being on a beach in the Caribbean with a bunch of sailors. Or maybe they were pirates. I don't know. No idea.
Huh, we'll look into that. And how do you feel in general?
In general? Well, I feel older, for one. Much older. And it's strangely comforting. I'm collecting the memories and skills and thoughts of so many people. I feel like I've lived a few hundred years or more. Is it possible that if I do this for too long, it'll push my own memories aside? That I'll be everyone but myself after a while?
It's possible. That's called identity substitution. It's happened before, but it's rare. And someone with your background shouldn't need to worry.
My background? You mean someone with my genes? My abilities?
You have Isu DNA, and that lets you see things and do things and withstand traumas that other people can't.
And I can suffer in ways that others can't. That's not something to be proud of.
You mean the apple?
Yeah. It has a pull, Bex. It tugs at my brain. It talks to me. Teases me. Drives me mad. And what I did to Lucy. God damn it. Nothing is worth the damage I did. The pain I caused.
I know. But you're special. That's the point.
I'm not special, Bex. I'm lucky. That's all.
I understand.
We're assassins. It's our creed that makes us different, not our genes, not our blood. Anyone can join us.
That's true. But let's leave that aside for a second. What I want to know is, have you ever had any Isu memories resurface?
Isu memories? I don't think so. I can't even begin to imagine what that would feel like.
I think you'd know if you did. Maybe one day, we might be able to induce something.
Jesus, let's fix the world first, okay? Before we start digging up my ancient ancestors.
Deal.
With my luck, I'll be related to some third-rate Isu like Sisyphus or something.
Way to aim high, buddy.
Hey, you gotta.
Okay. Before we meet at the site, I wanted you to see these. Last week I reviewed the logs from my time with Bayek, and came across some old notes in the years I explored Cleopatra's Egypt. I stumbled across 6 Isu temples, most of which were buried beneath pharaonic tomb sites. Each temple contained an Isu message clearly meant for one with the ability to read genetic memories. I was the lucky one. I don't believe they were intended for Bayek himself, as he seemed wholly unaware of the messages as they played. They may have been encoded in a way that only someone with an animus could see them. It's been a few years since I last heard these messages, so my memory is foggy, but the notes I scribbled down have a clarity that I trust. Might be something to all of us, I don't know. I often grasp outside of my area of expertise. I am enthusiastic, but often wrong. Let me know if something else strikes you, Layla. Layers upon layers of reality, each blurring into the next, which is real, which is not. What if none are real? What if everything you know is false? We ran thousands of simulations searching for the right version, searching for Desmond. Each one of them felt real, but there is no way of truly knowing, is there? Not for sure. Anything can be simulated, and finding the answer could be erasure. Teasing the assassin's maximum, nothing is true, must be careful not to confuse truth with facts, however. A language game you will always lose. Though we may stumble in our attempts to interpret it, the world, the universe, reality, what have you, is always out there. I believe that, simulated or no. We could imagine a dozen nested simulations, each one on the level of itself, would constitute a full reality. Wolfram via Conway suggests the universe is a giant cellular autonoma. And further, there is a point where the difference between simulated and real is meaningless. If the universe were a simulation, would it matter? That simulation, qua simulation itself, would be real, and therefore everything within it would be real within the confines of the simulation. Say a scientist were able to simulate pain by inducing only a few neurons to fire. No physical harm. I am in pain, the subject says. No, you only believe you are, says the scientist. This is meaningless, as this, you thought you were in pain, but you were mistaken. Okay. No surprise you were designed to have boundaries after all, and no one can speak of that which one cannot conceive. The code, equations that define life, they are nestled deep within every star and every mote of dust. Every second that passes is a word, a symbol, all part of an intricate yet simple language existing within the framework of time itself. It is the one rule which applies to us all, immutable, inescapable. We know this. Humans were the instruments of an earlier species, the Isu. Resist the temptation to say superior, different. They were better suited to some tasks, ill-suited to others, possessed of a mind that we cannot know. But that does not get us anywhere. What is it to be an Isu? What is it like to be a bat? The implication that the Isu could read time is interesting, but if humans could read time, would it necessarily be in the same manner and for the same purpose? Whatever constructed or evolved, or a little of both as we are, we cannot be said to have been built to achieve the same ends. A round disc on its edge is a wheel, on its side it's a plate. How we use something can often determine its value and its perceived purpose. Break the code, break the node. These walls tell of a tragic story, a story we transcribed in our structures, on our artifacts, a story we could not alter, a mystery defying us in plain sight. We tried, our scholars, our scientists, poets, and physicians, bright minds, rebellious hearts. They all tried so hard to bring about change. We, all failed. None could change what we discovered. The story is written into the walls of these rooms. The reader has no power. He is but an observer. But the author invents the future. The author owns the future. The Toba catastrophe, a supervolcanic event paired with a mass coronal injection, was the beginning of the end for the Isu. It changed the Earth's environment, lowered its available oxygen levels, and generally effed things up. The Isu never recovered. By our estimations, the last remaining Isu died just a century after the catastrophe. From that point forward, humans, their creation, ruled the roost. This disaster was not unforeseen. Isu scientists had known about their impending doom for years, perhaps decades, before the catastrophe occurred. To protect themselves, they worked feverishly to find a solution. 6 methods they tried, but due to a toxic combination of hubris, political infighting, and bad luck, all 6 failed. The final method proved the most promising, and was nearly complete when the tragedy struck. It was this method that Desmond Miles revived when he saved the world from a second solar flare on December 2012. This voice laments the compounded failure of their species to save themselves, but the truth is broader than that. They, with Desmond, saved us. Success deferred. Then this message, break the code, break the node, insistent and very puzzling. Linear continuity is a simulation that allows for variations within the linear continuity. There are nodes, checkpoints, moments where algorithms converge, the flows of superposed possibilities to a single moment where only one absolute truth is possible. Paths are fluid, continuous. Nodes are static, changeless. And the wave function collapses the paths into nodes which branch out. Again and again and again. Can you feel the wave collapsing, trying to course correct Desmond's act of defiance? The incoming node needs the world to end. The algorithms have been craving the flow of possibilities. Carving the flow of possibilities towards that end for over 100 years now. Collapse the wave. Outside the area of my expertise. Must contact someone who knows this stuff better. But what it seems to be saying, that structure of space-time in the universe is built in such a way that certain events or clusters of events are compelled to occur, a bottleneck through which space-time flows, and one nearly impossible to avoid. There is something about this catastrophe, the one that Desmond averted in 2012, that compels it to return, indifferent to our fear of pain. It is a tidal wave rippling across the sea of space. It crashed once against the dike, and that stopped it for a time, but the sea rears back for another strike, and another, and another. That gives us some clarity to what is happening now, all around us, but it remains unclear how to change it, especially from within an animus, a simulation within a simulation. Reality is a mathematical model which gets solved over and over again by the observer. Your thoughts are computations, and they will render this world for you to call your own. Not all processors are alike. Different brains produce different realities. The variations go from subtle to drastic. Your mind defines how much you can taste, how much you feel, how much you understand. Perception defines perspective. We designed you and make sure to engineer your senses so you can perceive just what you need to. Neither more nor less. There are parts of time we preferred you to remain blind to. It was a necessity. If we could suddenly see time, that would not guarantee that the same perception of the Isu possessed. Let's speak of a time as an entity, if we may. Let's say that time is a perceptible fact in the same way that light is a perceptible fact. The ability to see this fact in no way guarantees a sympathetic view. There are creatures stumbling around this earth that read light differently than we do, and for different purposes. Humans see the well-known spectrum, ROYGBIV, which is Roy G. Biv. The sense of color is confined to 3 cones we possess, yet nocturnal creatures see with a different scope, for a different purpose, night stalking, hunting, lurking. They evolved in concert with their needs, and are now constrained by them, as we are. Light is only a fact seen ascendance and used differently by different species. To suggest that we might read time is to imply we have a specific use for time. The next chapter is unstoppable, and yet the greatest resolutions sometimes originate from the confines of impossibility, do they not? Reality is a simulation. Break the code. and in doing so, escape the inescapable. The Animus was humankind's first unconscious attempt to explain what it could not see, understanding genetic memories, an eye into history. Your Animus is different, as is the mind that imagined it. It could escape the code. It could make that leap and make possible a decision that defies the order that things are. It's ridiculous to imagine that I could change the nature of reality, out there, from within the confines of an animus, a simulation, within this so-called simulation. But I believe I understand what the voice is telling me. My animus is endowed with the ability to suggest alterations to days long past. From a moment in time, I can extrapolate what might have been, calculations of time. I am not confined to what was, but what could have been. Yes, history is real, facts do matter. But from any moment in time I choose within the animus, I can integrate a memory. I can ask the world, what if? What if Bekek and Aya had stayed together? What if Kemu had not been murdered? I can suggest these hypotheticals and watch how they unfold. Why would I want to? For knowledge? For a better understanding of what tragedies were avoided? It remains to be seen. In a sense, a reader of the calculations. As the Isu were in days past, perhaps one day I will be able to harness this talent to see into the future, to predict, to correct, to avoid. That would be worth something. Acquired from the Eagle Bear Cassandra 2018. Presumed manufacturing date late in the Isu Singularity Age, 75,100 BCE to 2200 IE. This staff, one of many Isu staffs known to us, is first and foremost a medical device with the ability to heal, repair, restore, and rejuvenate organic tissue with unprecedented swiftness. It has been known to extend the life of its bearers well beyond the average human and Isu lifespans, and is presumed to have the ability to resuscitate living creatures in a critically or suspended states. It has not been verified if the staff has the ability to resurrect the dead, but this seems unlikely based on its known features. It appears to work by reading and copying its bearer's DNA to ensure the perfect replication on a broader scale. It is able to detect erroneous copies and deploy repairs so long as its bearer remains within direct contact. It has been used as a weapon, and frequently, possibly by taking advantage of the tremendous power it draws from the Isu's wireless energy lattice. The staff has also acted as a conduit or a container for the personality of an Isu called Alethenia. It is not known if this personality this personality is Athena's original consciousness or a simulation of the original. M and MME. My name is Leila Hansen. I was a friend and colleague of Victoria's, both at Abstergo and in our subsequent freelance careers. In all that time, I knew and worked with your daughter. I was always struck by her limitless intelligence, her humor, her ability to focus, even times of great stress. She was an inspiration, not just to me, but to all those who worked with her. I am writing to you now with the hope of shedding some light on the circumstances of her death. I realize that it must be strange to receive a letter out of the blue from someone whose name you probably never heard, offering an explanation for a tragic loss of one so dear, but if you allow me, I will try. I was with your daughter in the moments leading up to the unfortunate incident that took her life. In fact, I am partly to blame for... So, it gives me a little bit of explanation on things, helps me get a little caught up. So, in the interim, let's go back in.
All right, time to go. Norway to England takes about a week by long ship, so I'll scrub ahead. Layla, you okay?
Sorry. Can you play the message again?
We have the transcript if you're looking for something. I can
No,
go and...
I want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just... that message led us here. To this place. To a Norse grave in North America. So those bones out there are the only lead we have. Our only chance at fixing this planet before it's too late.
Here it is.
I lived, I died, and now I sleep. And in my sleep I dream. And in my dreams I see an end to the doom that will grip the earth once again. Find the wolf-kissed. Find the mad one. Find me. And save us all from another death.
Unsettling, that is.
That pulse in the message. Are you sure it's just coordinates? Nothing else?
Nothing I can find.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go.
There she is. England. Our new home.
Not a patch on Norway, but we'll make this land our own soon enough.
I'm glad to see any land at all. And will be happy to have my feet on solid ground again.
We must not rush our landing. All you see here is Saxon territory. The Kingdom of Mercia, largely unpacified. There will be eyes watching us from the trees, with bows drawn and traps set. We must be wary. Randi! Dig in your oars! All standing!
Have you spotted something?
Not yet. But let us go ahead to clear the path of any dangers. Then follow our lead when the sun brushes the horizon.
Understood. May Thor bless you all on your way. We will see you soon.
Alright, time to invade England.
Yes, I'm ready for whatever these green-thumbed fairy folk have to throw at us.
Sigurd, do the sons of Ragnar know that we're coming?
They do not, but they will not scoff at our visit. Of the 4 kingdoms in England, the sons of Ragnar have settled only one. The rest is ripe for the taking.
Do we mean to join their army?
No, no. We will speak with them, get the lay of the land, and carve this country into as many pieces as we see fit.
Look ahead there. Is that what passes for a town? Plain brick in a single rune to their timid god?
That rune is called a root, Doug. The cross upon which their god was sacrificed. It sits atop a monastery, a place of worship.
That cross killed their Christ, and now they display it in worship? Bizarre.
We carve idols of our gods and make wishes before them, like our sacrifices to Odin, the One-Eyed.
But we do not worship the wolf that kills him. That is the difference.
Whatever strangeness we see in these Saxons, they must think the same of us.
The hammer! Now there is a symbol worthy of a god. A bolt of lightning would take that cross clean off. Look there! What are they doing?
Ritual drowning.
Baptism, Doug. Are the ways of Christians really so unfamiliar to you?
Not at all. I simply forgot. And someone has to keep the conversation up. It must be priests and worshippers alone in that place. We could storm this port with ease. Sack it without breaking a sweat.
Is there much in the way of treasure there?
Always! They shape precious metals and cut jewels to their gods. There will be a fortune there.
Later, Doug. There will be time enough for raiding once we have settled.